The fork in Dad's hand stopped midway to his mouth as his words cut through the quiet dining room. "We don't need your money, Rebecca." The mashed potatoes on my plate suddenly looked like concrete. Mom didn't even pause, adding with that practiced smoothness I'd heard her use on telemarketers, or you. My vision tunneled to the wine glass in my hand, the one I'd brought from Napa, thinking it would make this family dinner special. The burgundy liquid trembled as my grip tightened involuntarily. Around the table, nobody breathed. Hannah, my younger sister, actually nodded like she'd been waiting years for someone else to say it first. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked 6 times before I found my voice, but by then, I'd already seen everything I needed to see in their faces. Relief, not regret. My name is Rebecca. I'm 34 and a data analyst. This is the story of how I learned that family calculations don't always add up. Growing up in Meridian, I thought love was measured in sacrifices. Our cramped house always smelled like Mom's lavender candles trying to mask the mustiness of old carpet we couldn't afford to replace. Money was so tight that even whispered conversations about bills felt loud enough to wake the neighbors. I was the kid who calculated grocery receipts in my head before we reached the checkout, making sure we wouldn't get that card-declined humiliation again. Hannah was 3 years younger and blissfully unaware of how many nights I listened through thin walls while Mom and Dad argued about overdue payments. When I got that full scholarship to Georgia Tech, leaving felt like abandoning ship during a storm. But I promised myself I'd come back stronger, capable of fixing things, and I kept that promise. For 15 years, I kept sending money home. The new roof after the tornado, Hannah's boutique startup loan, Dad's medical bills when his back went out, even Mom's SUV when her old Camry finally died. Every transfer felt like an investment in belonging and keeping the family together, in proving I hadn't forgotten where I came from. But Hannah's gratitude had curdled into something sharper over the years. She'd make jokes about my big city money or call my help charity, with that edge that made it sound like an insult. Still, when she invited me to this dinner, I thought maybe we'd turned a corner. Maybe they finally wanted to include me instead of just my bank account. I was catastrophically wrong. The silence at that table stretched until it became suffocating. I searched each face for any flicker of doubt, any sign someone might speak up. But Dad had already returned to his plate, Mom was smoothing her napkin with deliberate care, and Hannah was studying her manicure like she'd just completed an unpleasant but necessary task. "I see," I said quietly, setting down my wine glass with surgical precision. The clink against the wooden table sounded like a gavel. Nobody asked me to stay. Nobody suggested we talk this through. They just sat there, letting the weight of their collective decisions settle over the room like dust. I stood up without ceremony, grabbed my purse, and walked out. No dramatic exit, no tearful speech, just the soft click of the front door closing behind me. At my hotel, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. Hannah had already posted to Instagram a photo of her boutique with the caption, "Built from nothing but determination and heart, grateful for this self-made journey." 43 comments praising her independence, her grit, her ability to achieve success, all on her own. Not one mention of the $45,000 in startup capital I'd provided, or the monthly payments I'd been covering when her sales fell short, or the SUV she drove to vendor markets, the one still titled in my name. That's when something crystallized in my chest. Not rage exactly, something colder and more precise. If they didn't need my money, if they didn't need me, then I didn't need to keep propping up their illusions. I opened my laptop. The SUV paperwork took 5 minutes to find. The dealership answered on the second ring. "Hi, I need to arrange repossession of a vehicle that's titled in my name, but someone else is driving," I said, my voice steady as a surgeon's hand. "Ma'am, are you sure? This can't be undone once we—" "I'm absolutely certain." 20 minutes later, they confirmed pickup for the next morning. Next, I pulled up Hannah's business loan documents. I'd co-signed because she'd called me sobbing 2 years ago, terrified she'd never achieve her dream without family support. The monthly payments came directly from my account, something she'd conveniently forgotten to mention in her self-made success story. I drafted an email to the bank. "I will no longer be making payments on this co-signed loan. Please redirect all correspondence to the primary borrower immediately. Send." Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I turned off my phone and slept deeply, dreamlessly, for 10 hours straight. The next morning, Meridian's small-town gossip network moved faster than high-speed internet. My friend Caroline texted me screenshots from the community Facebook page. Did anyone see Hannah's car get towed? Thought she owned that outright. Heard the boutique might be in trouble. Self-made, my foot. By noon, Hannah had called 17 times. I didn't answer. By evening, the boutique was closed early. Caroline drove by and saw Hannah inside, crying while her boyfriend Marcus paced the aisles, his voice carrying through the thin walls. You told everyone you built this yourself. Why didn't you mention the loan, the car payments, any of it? That's when I decided to go see her. Not for drama, not for satisfaction, for closure. I drove across town to Thread and Needle, steeling myself for what would likely be our final conversation as sisters. Thread and Needle looked smaller somehow, like the lies had made the walls contract. I pushed through the door without knocking. Hannah was slumped behind the counter, mascara streaking her cheeks. Marcus stood near the window, arms crossed, looking like he'd just discovered his girlfriend was a stranger. You, Hannah pointed at me like I'd materialized from her worst nightmare. You ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything, I replied calmly. I just stopped fixing it. Marcus's head snapped toward Hannah. She's been supporting your business this whole time? Hannah's face crumpled. It's not what you think. I was going to pay her back. I just needed time to establish myself first. By lying to everyone? Marcus shook his head. By lying to me? I stepped closer to the counter where Hannah had collapsed. You told me yesterday that nobody needs my money or me. I finally decided to believe you. She looked up, desperate now. I didn't mean it like that. You know how Dad gets, how you all get, I corrected. This wasn't Dad's idea or Mom's idea. This was 15 years of you taking what you needed while making sure I knew I didn't belong. The boutique felt like a museum of false victories. Inventory I'd helped finance, displays funded by my emergency loans, success stories built on foundations I'd quietly provided, then been erased from. Please, Hannah whispered, don't take away everything I've worked for. I'm not taking anything away, I said, looking around at the carefully curated space. I'm just no longer giving it. Marcus cleared his throat. I need some air. He paused at the door. Hannah, I thought I knew who you were. After he left, Hannah and I faced each other across the counter that separated her dreams from my reality. Why now? She asked. After all these years, why now? Because yesterday you finally told me the truth, that you don't need me, and for the first time, I believed you enough to act on it. I turned toward the door, then looked back one final time. Actions have consequences, Hannah. Even the ones we pretend don't matter. Outside, Meridian's main street stretched in both directions, past leading to a family that had never been mine, future leading wherever I decided to go. The evening air carried the scent of honeysuckle and possibility. I drove straight to the airport. No goodbye tour, no final confrontations with Mom and Dad. Just Rebecca, her suitcase, and a boarding pass back to Atlanta, where people knew my worth wasn't measured by my ability to disappear. 3 months later, Hannah's boutique closed when the bank foreclosed on her defaulted loan. Marcus ended their relationship that same week, telling Caroline he couldn't be with someone who'd built their entire life on deception. Caroline keeps me updated on the town gossip. In Meridian, everyone knows everyone's business, especially when it involves financial scandal. Mom and Dad called twice more after learning about the boutique closure, but their messages were just variations of the same angry theme. How could I destroy my own sister's dreams? I deleted both voicemails after the first few words made it clear they still saw me as the problem, not the solution they'd rejected. Hannah works at the Walmart now, driving a used Honda she bought with cash. She doesn't post about self-made success anymore. And me? I got promoted to senior analyst. I bought a condo with a view. I started dating someone who asks about my dreams, not my checking account balance. I learned that boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. And I finally stopped leaving mine wide open for people who only visited to take things. If you've ever been the family member who quietly holds everything together while everyone pretends not to notice, this story is for you. Your worth isn't determined by who fails to appreciate it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop doing everything you've been doing for free. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.